Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to hopefully answer a long debated and very controversial question. Is the Earth flat? Well, no. No, it's not. Believe it or not though, some people still don't agree with this. Flat Earthers, as they are known, are part of a group of people who, for a number of reasons, believe that the Earth is flat. Not only that, but this well-hidden secret is part of a global conspiracy to enslave humanity. Oh, probably shouldn't use that word, global. And so, as a believer in actual science, it's my duty to present some evidence that I think points to the more widely accepted view that the Earth is spherical later. So where to spherical, or at least an oblate spheroid? Start. Well, 2,500, like this melon. 1,000 years ago, when your worldview barely extended beyond your own village, the Earth indeed must have looked very flat. There were a number of ideas floating around at the time. For instance, the Egyptians in 800 BC thought that the world was a flat disk floating in an infinite ocean. The ancient Mediterraneans had more of a 3D view, with the early Greek philosopher Anaximander suggesting that the Earth was a short, fat cylinder with a flat top. Meanwhile, the Chinese thought that we lived on a square Earth, floating inside a spherical heaven like the yolk inside an egg. All excellent ideas, but all totally unfounded. That is until back in the 3rd century BC, Aristotle made my first experiment. Boy! Some pretty revolutionary observations. Bring me my melon! Observations that bring me to my... Looking out to sea in the clear Mediterranean skies, Aristotle noticed that ships that sailed out beyond the horizon didn't just get smaller until they couldn't be seen. They actually disappeared from the bottom first, leaving only the mast visible. The only way that was possible was if the ships were disappearing down a hill, or, since there are no hills at sea, down the far side of a vast curve. The curve of the globe. Next, Aristotle observed that the constellations visible from Egypt were different to those in Cyprus. Surely, if we lived on a flat Earth, we would all be able to see the same stars above us, the curved surface that offers different views, that they changed when you travelled north views of the heavens. So with evidence itself could only be explained by acceptance for a spherical Earth mounting, support began to grow, and by the Middle Ages, it was accepted as fact. The round Earth theory was further strengthened by advanced navigation during oceanic exploration, followed by flight, and in the last 70 years, spaceflight. In 1972, astronauts returning from the moon on the Apollo 17 mission took a photograph that has become one of the most reproduced images of all time. The Earth in all its spherical glory, the blue marble. Of course, you could argue that any photographic evidence of a spherical Earth from space are the product of an elaborate conspiracy, or just that any assumptions of a curved surface have arisen from intergalactic exploration, spaceflight, interpreting the evidence. You'd think that photos from space, photos from the moon, and even with modern navigational techniques, oceanic photos sent back from probes millions of miles from our planet, that this would be proof enough. And then there's the sun, planets, exoplanets, and even our own moon, all visibly rotating spheres. Surely Earth must follow this seemingly universal trend? There's only one way to find out. Boy! During a lunar eclipse, the Earth passes between the sun and the moon, the result being the Earth's shadow is cast upon the moon like this. If you look closely, you can see the shadow has a slight curve to it. That curve is the clue to the shape of our spherical Earth. Almost undeniable, right? Well, not for a flat earther. Instead, they argue that there's no evidence that the shadow could come from any shadow is even created by the Earth, any celestial body intersecting the light between the sun and the moon. I think I need a moment. And relax. There's no point in getting riled up. There's plenty of other evidence for our spherical Earth. Time zones, the centre of gravity, thousands of images taken from telescopes and spacecraft, and they all point to the same result. But I'll admit, it's tricky to test these without a rocket and a lot of cash, and all I've got is a melon. Hurricanes. Did you know that large storms spin in different directions depending on which hemisphere that they are in? Yep, very strange. In the northern hemisphere, hurricanes spin counterclockwise, and in the southern hemisphere, Eolus effect. It's all because we live in the hemisphere, they spin clockwise, live on a giant spinning ball. This is caused by something called the melon. Melon. Yes, that's a melon. The Earth spins on its axis at just over 1,000 miles per hour, and because the Earth is a sphere, the surface at the equator is actually travelling much faster than the surface at the poles, just like my DIY merry-go-round. This difference in speed means that the moving particles making up large bodies of air and liquid have different angular momentum, depending on how close or far away they are from the Earth's axis. And so, like the melon, they change direction relative to the motion of the Earth. When cold air floats, see that again. Falls towards the equator from the poles, slow-mo, deflected sideways, adding up to a huge mass of spinning air that we call a hurricane. Now, to be fair, you could observe the Coriolis effect on a flat spinning disk. However, all the hurricanes would spin the same way. Only on a sphere, where you have two hemispheres, can this effect cause the winds to travel in both directions. It's the same reason why, in theory, water drains in different directions in the northern and southern hemispheres, but drains directly down at the equator. And it's also why Phil can't catch my melon. So there you go. I think you will agree. And hopefully it swayed some fairly good melon-based you if you were wavering towards flat evidence for a spherical Earthery. If not, good luck trying to figure out how all the water stays in, and how the sun sets, and why we haven't found an edge yet, and how the seasons work, and well, just about everything. But hey, enough about what I think. What about you? Is the Earth flat, square, resting on the back of a giant turtle? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to subscribe for more science videos.